Dadnarok presents the Ted Lasso After Show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
Hey, tonight we're talking about episode 2 of season 2 of Ted Lasso, title name Lavender for obvious reasons. But in case you guys don't know, we are Dadnarok. We do after shows like this one. Currently, of course, we're doing Ted Lasso, and we've also done them for Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and The Mandalorian. But yeah, check us out on YouTube. If you guys haven't liked and subscribed to our YouTube page yet, please go ahead and do that. And leave comments and help feed the YouTube algorithm beast. It helps out our channel.
Comments are fun. I like waking up looking at a new one, like, oh, let's check that out. New person to talk to.
Yeah, we're live right now. So if you guys have an idea as far as, your feelings on the episode or anything, be sure to drop a comment. We'll bring it up and talk about it.
There we go.
But yeah, episode 2 so far so good, right? For season 2.
Dude, it's phenomenal. Like I keep on saying, like, I love the weekly releases.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those shows, like, I don't want to wait. Just like goes back with WandaVision. I didn't want to wait.
Yeah.
I'm at that point where I'm already anticipating next week. The show definitely on the way this ended. I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those shows where people are having a tough time just binge watching, especially I think for folks that came onto it late, after the whole season 1 had already premiered. So they got to binge watch it over and over again. And now they're having to do the weekly thing, and it's tough for them.
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking from experience.
Yeah, I am for sure. But yeah, as far as this episode goes, more character depth, more of the same good stuff. There's no drop in quality between season 1 and season 2 so far, so I'm very happy with that. We got a kind of a Ja-mie centric episode. We didn't see him last episode really until the very end. He was on a reality show, and that's how
I honestly thought that was going to be about it. I didn't think we were going to get a whole lot of it. I thought that was going to be his glimpse, him and Roy. Roy still being irritated at him, and that was kind of going to be it. But
right.
I'm kind of happy it's not. His whole like me persona is starting to melt away, and we've seen it at the end of season 1.
Yeah,
where Ted talked to him and he's seen his father flipping out on him and everything. And now we're seeing it definitely within this episode as well.
Yeah, there was that great line that Ted tells him last season where he's like, Ja-mie, I think your biggest problem is you understand that you're 1 in a million, but when you're out there with those guys, you're just 1 in 11. And it's starting to stick, I think, some of these life lessons. Because he comes back and life's kind of kicking Ja-mie around. I mean, he's on top of the world. And then all of a sudden he's not. I mean, he leaves Manchester, right?
Yeah, he leaves Manchester City to go ahead and do this reality show.
Yeah,
and it doesn't pan out for him. No. the way this whole episode starts, they're like, who's gonna get kicked off this show, Lust or something, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
And they say they always pull that bait and switch on them. They're doing the typical trope when it comes to these shows.
Yeah,
because usually when they'll go to like the person that feels like they're safe, like nothing's going on, they'll say their name and they're thinking they're going to say, oh, you're safe. And nope, there's like, your lust ends here. And the other dude flips out.
Yeah, he was loving it. That's trashy reality TV.
Yep, it's right in line.
Yeah. But yeah, he's basically sacrificed his position with Manchester City to be on this thing. And now they don't want him back. He learns later during a TV interview the next morning that they don't want him back.
Oh, what a way to find out. No, that is that's on the club, and that is on his agent.
Right.
You never want to find out, through a TV show.
Yeah. And then he goes to his agent, and his agent says like, no, he really doesn't care. He's kind of beyond Ja-mie now.
It's like there's no interest out there for you for anything.
Yeah.
And there's like someone comes in and says, how about more TV? How about you be on, some drug for like
2 months.
It's like, what?
Yeah, and you can see it in the actor's face. He's really like, it's hitting home for him that his lifestyle is not holding up. He wants to play, like, he loves the game of football, and it's just he's letting these other things outside of it kind of get in the way of it, and he comes to the realization that he just wants to go back to the game. But as he's doing that, like, nobody will take him. So for
he's
him to
built up a
go,
reputation about himself.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's a big thing for him to go crawling back to AFC Richmond, considering, Ted even says, you burned a lot of
He
bridges
burned a
there.
lot of bridges here.
I mean, Ja-mie TARTT's got a lot of pride, so for him to like go crawling back to Ted Lasso's team, that's a big deal. He must be
Yeah.
desperate.
Well, I mean, before he tries to go back to them, he basically stalks Keely.
Yeah,
And it's
he
like he even
does.
admits to it, and he's like hiding behind this thing. It's like he knows he's not being hidden, but
Right.
he's there, and she sees him, and she's kind of taken by it at first,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "I didn't know who else to talk to. I just need to talk to somebody."
Right.
And I thought that right there was a big step forward for his character. He's like, you know what? I'm not here for any other reason. Like we would see in season 1, he always had alternative motives.
Yeah.
This one here is just like, I just need to talk to somebody. And you're like the only person I know I can talk to.
Yeah, and it's done well. It's done in a responsible way because, there's certain tropes and TV shows where they would play up a love triangle between Roy and Ja-mie and Keely, and they would really kind of play that up as drama, and that would be like a whole season arc kind of thing, misunderstandings and, typical TV stuff. And I don't think that's what they're doing here. I feel like Ja-mie feels like Keely is probably the one that got away, the one that was probably too good for him, and he didn't realize that when they were dating.
Yeah.
And now she seems to be the only one that he can turn to when he's in this position. But at the same time, like I think he understands like Ja-mie's kind of full of himself, but he's not.
I don't think he's stupid. I
He's
think
not
he
that
knows.
bad of a guy to like go
Yeah.
after Keely, understanding that her and Roy are together.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he wants to cross Roy like that. He knows Roy's an old man.
Who
But
would?
yeah, I don't think I don't think you want to cross Roy.
No.
He's even yelling at his little girls in the soccer team because they lost.
Yeah. Oh, and they love him for it. Yeah, I thought that was great. His soccer
man.
team didn't win the championship, but he left him with some good words, some positive energy.
Yeah,
as
but
only Roy
eventually,
can do it.
Jamie hunts down Ted, and
Yeah.
they're sitting in their bar. It's like the local bar everyone goes to. No matter, I've not yet found one of these where you find all your athletes coming to it, and me, Joe Schmo can be sitting at the end of the bar too
Right.
and see them.
Yeah. Very convenient.
Yeah. Oh, I like the bartender. Oh, I can't think of her name.
Oh, May.
It's like, she yells at the 3. Finally, we got the 3 guys.
I know. They were back, and she's like, "Piss off!" And they're like, "Oh, sorry, May. Oh, yeah, and they turn around.
Then they're doing the whole like little shots of his phone with they're holding it with their hand.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But
yeah,
Ja-mie does. He comes back to Ted, and he's like, would AFC Richmond have me back? And in my mind, I was thinking like maybe I would think that Ted would be happy to see him, like,
First,
oh, yeah, like kind of welcome back with open arms. But Ted has the foresight enough to understand what kind of repercussions that would have on the rest of the team.
Yeah.
The bridges that he burnt along the way, and he tells Ja-mie as much, which I thought was a good turn too.
Well, I mean, even Ja-mie starts out with a token of like, a white flag. I mean, he puts down the army man. He says, I called him Ted. Then he kind of laughs about, Ted Dance, and they go on about like all these other famous people.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a typical Lasso kind of back and forth when you're trying to make light of a situation, which is going to become heavier here, down the road.
Yeah.
And they're going back and forth. And I mean, Ted goes forward and actually asks the question that everyone's, wants to know. Why did you do the TV show? And just a heads up, guys, a little bit of language in this, but enjoy here.
Ja-mie, let me ask you something. Why'd you do that reality show? You were getting good minutes up at City.
I don't know. Just thought it'd be fun. That'll boost my brand.
Mm-hmm.
Did it to piss off my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's just on me after every match. How I played, how many minutes I played. I was sat on the bench when I didn't play. Just drove me fucking mad. It can be a bit.
Yeah.
And I think going back even to season 1, Ted was trying to be, almost like a father figure to Ja-mie.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to lead him in a direction because he sees what Ja-mie is.
Yeah.
And he knows there are the good guy is in him, but he's being driven by, like you were saying, ulterior motives, other things out there that are pushing him down a road to be the person that he is showing. So he's basically, he's got a front on and is not the person that, Ted knows he is.
Yeah, and I think they have an interesting conversation too there at the bar about fathers and their role in things, because Ted is aware that Jamie's father is just overbearing and kind of cruel to him, and he says, well, there's a lot of greatness, or people can grow up tough because of that. It reminds me of like the Johnny Cash song, "A Boy Named Sue," that kind of thing where that kind of relationship can build greatness in somebody, or not sometimes.
Yeah.
And Jamie, he asks what Ted's father was like, and Ted lets him know, like, my dad was nothing like that. He beat himself up more than he would ever me.
Yeah, he was rougher on himself than he was on us.
Yeah. So, and of course, Ted's grown into this this wonderful guy that everybody around him just can't get enough of him. So it's kind of one of those things where Ted kind of takes that into a mental note. He knows that it wouldn't be great for Jamie to just walk back through those doors, but he also has this deep talk about fathers with Jamie, and he understands that's a plight of Jamie's right now.
He knows Jamie is lost and he's hurting.
Yeah,
because even before, he got to, he said, "How you doing?" He said, "Great." Depressed. It's just not effing good. It's like, I'm glad I was tall enough to ride that roller coaster with you.
Yeah.
So even Jamie completely opened up to him
right
before they even really got talking. I think that's when Ted knew that there's a deeper conversation to be had here, not just about the game of football, but about life. And that has always been Ted's MO from the very beginning. It's not so much about the game, it's more about the men that he's mentoring,
making these players the best people they can be. So he senses Jamie's kind of situation, and this is a different Ja-mie TARTT than we last left him. Even the Ja-mie TARTT that we saw on the reality show, they spend the opening of this episode really showing us that Jamie's humbled a little bit. He's had to eat some humble pie, and he's really kind of thinking through what he wants, and he wants to play football. I mean, the guy's in the prime of his life, and for him to not be on the field is kind of it's a crime. So that's kind of where we leave that for right now. But speaking of Ted, he goes through there's a couple of different things that he's juggling this week.
He's still not happy about them finding out that they brought that doctor on full time for this season.
Yeah, and he plays it off as though you can tell he's concerned and he's trying his best. I loved that scene where he was getting into it back and forth with Higgins. Just like, why didn't you, let me know? Why didn't you confirm with me first?
Yeah.
And Higgins was like, I'm sorry. I was like, oh, don't apologize.
Yeah.
They did that like 3 or 4 times. Because Ted knows, that's his job. Like, he doesn't need to run that kind of thing by Ted.
Yeah.
But because Ted has such an issue with psychology and therapy as a whole, it's really bugging him because he knows eventually he's going to end up sitting in that seat. And
he knows it's coming.
Yeah, he can see it a mile away.
Well, he actually kind of tried to get ahead of that too. He went and he actually brought her the biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
That is typically Rebecca's.
That was an icebreaker
and
for Rebecca.
He did the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and sat down with her and started talking to her and trying to figure out what makes her tick. How can we when can we get on the same level? When can we actually enjoy each other's company? Because he's so concerned with her around, and I think he's worried about her reading him, and it just seems like a weird dynamic right now. And she's like, "Oh, this is interesting. What are we doing here?"
Yeah, there was that great scene where he actually goes to Rebecca and he's kind of complaining about her. He's complaining about Sharon, the psychologist, and both of them are. It's so funny because you get the vibe that she doesn't want anything to do with that either because she's working through her own inner struggles.
Yes.
And she's like, that's what you have friends for, right? You just, you lean on your friends to talk.
You burden your friends with these problems.
Yeah, and they both ask each other anything you want to get off your mind, and they're both like, no. But you could tell like they both have some things that they're trying to work through. Internally.
We haven't addressed Ted's pending divorce yet this season.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's where we left off last season.
Yeah, and that panic attack that's coming back. I mean, if you're one to have a panic attack. That stuff just doesn't go away. That's, that requires help. It needs to be addressed in one form or fashion. And he was so busy with finishing out the season and just kind of getting through day to day when we last left them in season 1 that, it has not been addressed properly. So he's working through that. But he also has to face the team because, like you mentioned, those 3 patrons of the bar, they took a picture of Ja-mie and Ted together.
Those wankers.
Yeah. And they somehow got out to social media or Twitter or whatever, and the team saw it. And the one who kind of took it the hardest was Sam.
Yeah.
And Sam has been kind of a go-to. He was a go-to in season 1 as far as just a great player. And with Ja-mie gone, he's been able to,
grow into the leader of the team.
Absolutely, and be more of a deserving star of the show. He's even got some kind of marketing or promotion deal from some company, and they were all happy about it earlier in the episode. But yeah, he storms off the field. Sam does, and Ted chases after him,
and it's out of character.
It is very out of character because he's normally one of these guys, almost like Danny Rojas, where he's just like beaming with positive,
full of energy and positivity. Yeah,
yeah. So for him to storm off the field like that, it's kind of a crazy thing. But yeah, I don't think there's any language in here, not with Sam.
Yeah, not with Sam now.
Coach, I'm so sorry. It's okay, Sam. All right, you are a leader on this team. I want you to speak your mind.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my father says every time he sees you on TV, he's very happy that I am here. That I'm in safe hands with you.
Well, that means a lot. I appreciate that.
You can imagine how that struck Ted. I mean, what a great thing to hear, that Sam's father had those words for him. Because, I mean, Ted's working through his own thing with his own son. Like, he's across the ocean from his own son. So he had to be thinking about the relationship that he has with his son. He had to be thinking about the conversation that he had with Ja-mie just, the night before.
Yeah.
Just about the issues that Ja-mie's having with his father. So, the wheels are churning. Even though he had his a meeting with the Diamond Dogs earlier, and as far as the idea of bringing Ja-mie back, it was basically 2 votes down and 1 vote up. The Diamond Dog crew kind of has mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, it was a split. It was a split vote.
Yeah. So that's another big deal as far as them working through this, and
none of them. Like it seems like none of them want Ja-mie back.
Right.
And when Ted went ahead and told Sam earlier in that conversation, before he apologizes, he said he told him no. Yeah. But I think 2 things happened, and we get it in our 2 clips combined. We see Sam telling Ted how much his father is happy he's with him because he's in good hands.
Yeah.
And then we see in the prior clip when it was Ja-mie and Ted talking, and Ja-mie reaching out for help from like a father figure.
Right.
And I think that's where the conflict within Ted is happening within this episode, because he's at one point he talks to the actual psychiatrist, a doctor, and she finally gives him the okay to call him doctor or call her doc.
Yeah.
which is a big step forward for those 2.
Yeah, there was some growth there, which was good.
But she says the line, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown."
Yeah, or the
meaning
visor
that
in his case.
Or the visor for him.
Yeah.
So he's the one that's gonna have to make the hard decision. Definitely knowing how the team responded to Ja-mie coming back when he wasn't even coming back at the time.
Yeah.
And now seeing Ja-mie walk through, the tunnel onto the pitch, and we don't see a reaction from anybody, but I can feel the reaction by the way he's looking out onto the field.
Right. Yeah. It was a great way to end this episode, because immediately you're just like, oh, well, what happened now?
Yeah.
You had a few different things going on. You had Ted he looked as though he knew he just, poked the bee's nest or whatever, and he's going to have to deal with it. But like, he's kind of like almost, punching himself in the shoulder. Like, yeah, we need to do this. And Keeley up in the booth with Rebecca. Rebecca gives Keeley a look as this source of pride, because Keeley is like, I think Keeley's happy because she cares about Ja-mie still.
Yeah.
and she wants the best for him, and she knows that the best place for him is with this team and with Ted.
And with Ted, yeah, that's I think that's the main thing. If it wasn't for Ted being the coach of the team, I don't think it would matter. But seeing that Ted is the one that is once again shepherding these guys, and helping them along the way, because they're not a top level team right now. They were relegated,
right?
So it's not like Jamie is trying to step into a team that's in the Premier League. He's in the lower level now, and that by itself has got to be humbling.
Sure.
Because he's going to go from Man City, who is the top of that level, down to that bottom level, to a team that essentially hasn't won a game yet this season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's crazy. So as far as the status quo right now, I think Rebecca and Higgins and Ted, of course, and Keely are probably pretty positive on bringing Jamie back. I would assume Rebecca is, because, I mean, they need to start winning, and Jamie's going to help them do that.
Yeah.
But as far as the rest of the team goes, as far as like Coach Beard and the others, the other coaches, it's, there's going to be some conflict there, and where they're probably going to need to rely on Sharon to help them resolve it.
Well, they have to go ahead and get right into that. There's no,
I
don't think there's any way they can slowly open the next episode.
Oh,
it's going to be right there. And I would prefer them picking it up right when he's walking onto the pitch.
Yeah, I would too. Usually there's a break in between episodes where you have some events that you don't see, but I'm with you. I want to see the events right as he's walking onto the field.
Yeah, and honestly, the amount of growth that Jamie's had, I would almost kind of like him to address it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We'll have the whole team come out, or they're going to storm off the field. I think they're going to leave the field. I think they're all going to walk off the field, and Sam's going to lead them off the field, and they're going to be in the locker room. And I think that's where Jamie needs to address his past, what he's gone through, and tell him he's willing to man up to what he has done and going forward.
Yeah, and it's an interesting spot with Jamie because we know where he is. He's kind of down in the dumps right now. So, of course, he's eating a bit of humble pie and having to kind of crawl back and apologize and be a bit more humble. But who knows? Like, they get a couple wins under his belt, a couple of shots where Jamie would rather, shoot the shot than pass the ball to another player.
Pass it to Sam or Danny. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could easily revert back to having that headspace of like, well, no, I'm the star of the show and I'm the one who's going to drag this team back to relevancy. I don't know. We'll see if he's strong enough to kind of carry that humbleness through. But yeah, it's just interesting developments with this episode, man. We haven't even talked about a lot of people's favorite character, Roy.
Roy Kent. He's everywhere. I'm running around work today. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. Roy Kent. And everyone's looking at me. I'm crazy because I'm like, so many people don't know this show. Unfortunately, more people need to know of this show. So yes, spread the word on this on the after show so they can see it and enjoy it as much as we do.
I feel like such a hipster where we're like, oh, we were on the Ted Lasso before everybody else. Roy, Roy's going through his own things right now, and like we said, his niece's football team didn't make the championships. He gave them some words to live by before he left. But what do you think is what is going on with Roy right now? His relationship with Keely seems pretty strong still, but he's
Keely
still working
knows
through.
He misses the game.
Yeah.
He's struggling to move on within retirement. I think that's probably true on how like a lot of professional athletes, once they retire, what do I do with myself?
Right.
Because they've played it from, the Pee-wee level all the way through professional. And now it's over, where do we go? Yeah. And he's not exactly the most tactful person out there.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, he never minces words, and he doesn't want to be an announcer. He doesn't want to be what I guess to call him the pundit. Yeah. He doesn't want to be up there and talk about, things. And he walks in on Keely.
Yeah, we won't get too far into that.
But she's watching a video of his retirement, and she loves how like emotionally connected he is at that point.
Right.
And she hasn't seen that part of him since he's left the game. So she's pushing him to go ahead and, give this job a chance.
Yeah.
Get up there, be you. We never see him nervous. When
Yeah.
he's nervous, sitting in that chair when they're getting ready to put mascara on him, he's like, "Oh no, nope, that's not happening." And then she tells you, "Be Roy effing Kent.
Yeah.
Just be you." They know what they're getting.
Right. Yeah. And that's what
So
people have always loved about him. I mean, he's never put on a false front. He's always been himself, and that's what people, adored. I got to tell you, I'll be honest. When Keely was looking at that phone, I was so afraid that she was looking at a Ja-mie TARTT thing.
Ja-mie
Because
TARTT, that's exactly what I was. I
was ready for them to start getting the friction of like, oh, what's this about? Like, kind of stupid little, and they didn't go with that. Thank God.
They didn't go there. Yeah, no, they didn't. They went a whole different direction. So
They did, yeah.
that's a whole nother. We're not rated enough for that one. This is a family friendly show.
But yeah, Roy, he actually does it because Keely says as much. We talked about last episode. It was kind of, and Keely even said last week where I shouldn't have pushed that on you, pushed you so hard to get into the commentating thing, the pundit thing, where I know you don't want to do it. But she gives her reason why, and it's because, like you said, she knows that he needs to be closer to the game in some form or fashion, whatever that needs to be.
Yeah.
And he, because of this honesty between the two of them, he decides to finally give in and try it, to give it a shot. So I thought he was just going for like an audition, but no, like he's actually doing a live broadcast on air.
Yeah, it's kind of dangerous
on like an ESPN kind of thing with three other commentators. And they're all giving kind of like milquetoast responses, middle of the road, like, oh, I think both teams are pretty good. And they're like, what do you think, Roy? And he gives all those Roy Kent-isms that just broke his mind.
Plain scared and yada yada yada. And I was loving it. I was like, this is what I want from my ESPN.
You have been complaining about that. You're like, man, they just keep saying the same stuff over and over again.
Just insert new name. That's all it is.
Yeah. But if you had a Roy Kent to listen to, you'd be all about it.
Oh, that'd be great. I was watching. I was like, man, and they were like apologizing. Like, I'm sorry for everything he said.
Yeah, but it really struck a chord, right? Because like our three patrons at the bar that we know and love, they were all about it. They were like, "Oh man, that guy's a legend. We love him." And Keely, as she's looking through like Twitter, or she's seeing,
he's basically trending on Twitter.
Yeah, and that's what they want, ratings.
Yeah,
whatever's going to bring in ratings and talk is what that channel would want, right?
Yeah.
So
she even got an email saying, there was a few slip ups here, but this was fantastic. We want him back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what it was. They're probably going to try to tone him down a little bit.
Sure.
Let's not drop the F-bombs.
I don't know how you do it, but okay.
How do you tone him down and not lose the personality of Roy Kent?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I mean, maybe become a late night show. No, I don't know. Put him on like a late night, breakdown of things. But yeah, I mean, I love this breakdown of the game.
Yeah.
I was like, they were terrified. You look in their faces and they were scared. It was like you weren't getting that from the other three guys at all.
Right.
Like you said, they were being so like they were being nice to both teams, and you're not going to get that from Kent. I mean, he's kind of like the Charles Barkley. That's a perfect. That's the comparison we have in the NBA. He's the Charles Barkley of soccer right now, with doing what he's doing.
Yeah. And I guess the most important thing too is that Roy enjoyed himself when he didn't think he would. He came back to Keely and he thanked her. He's like, you made me kind of whatever. Anyway, they have a nice scene together.
Yeah, he got her phone and he put his his retirement back on, and we'll leave it at that. If you guys really want to know what happened, go ahead and turn on the last.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the episode,
3 or 4 minutes,
you need to.
Well, you shouldn't be watching us for one. If you haven't watched the episode, shame on you.
Yeah, but don't count on us on our recaps as quality TV viewing here. Ted Lasso is worth a watch. Go watch.
Hands down, probably one of the best things on television right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I think we kind of touched on a lot of the character development and growth here. We talked about Sam, even the characters outside of the main characters. We talked about Sam and a little bit of Sharon and stuff.
Well, we have Nate, who's kind of on a weird power trip thing going on here from last season to now on the new Kick Boy. So it's kind of like, I'm not sure I'm digging that. I don't think Ted is either, but I don't think Nate even feels right by doing it. So he does it, and he's like questioning himself, and he's trying to justify what he's doing.
I don't know. I feel like he doesn't even know that he's being so harsh, because he's doing these things like the new kick boy is like putting, washing the uniforms with lavender and
Hence
putting
the
a
name of the
little bit
show.
of pineapple in the water. And anytime he calls these things out, the rest of the crew and Ted's like, it's not a bad change. I think Nate is really the one that has the main issue with it. And I don't know. I'm sure eventually down the road we'll get some justification as far as what Nate's point of view is on why he's
He's
being so
gonna wind up
harsh.
in the doc's office.
Oh yeah, I bet you're right. Yeah,
I bet you when he started with the team, there was somebody just like doing to him what he's now doing to the new guy.
yeah,
I bet you in his mind, it's some type of like hazing type situation.
like a tough love, like a bad dad.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for this episode of Ted Lasso, season 2, episode 2. We very much want them to pick it up right where they left off for episode 3. Here's to hoping. But yeah, another quality episode from the Ted Lasso crew.
Yeah, no, this is one of those things that, like I said earlier, I can't wait for next week now.
Yep.
Last week I watched it in the morning and I didn't get the same feeling that I typically would. And I watched it later and I got that feeling. This morning I watched it. So I'm kind of forced into watching it earlier. And this one here, I was like, I got it immediately. I'm like, okay, because they didn't take time to get into it. They went, like I said, they started right with Ja-mie, and then they actually got right into the story pretty quickly. So
Yep.
2 thumbs way up for this one.
Yeah, 2 Dadnarok thumbs up for sure. So we are Dadnarok. We do this each and every Friday night at 10 p.m. We do our Ted Lasso after show, and we also do a podcast. Check it out if you haven't already. It's available anywhere podcasts are available: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. And then check out our YouTube page as well. Please go ahead and like and subscribe. Comment on the YouTube page. It really helps out we say these things, but we found that our videos do a lot better when folks are dropping comments on those videos.
Yeah.
They get a lot more views and a lot more shares, and YouTube decides to like spread it out there more.
And it's real. Honestly, I get a kick out of it. I love it. I love seeing the comment. I love going ahead and liking it and then commenting back, and just sometimes the back and forth.
Yeah.
It's not sometimes just one comment. I mean, sometimes it can be 3 or 4 within that same person, which is the interaction is a blast.
Yep. Besides that, check out dadnarok.com to find out anything else that we're doing. We got a shop on TeePublic. But yeah, I think that's it for this week. What do you think?
I think it's a good point to say, thank you for watching, guys. And until we see you next Friday, keep it cheesy.
Barbecue sauce.